cartoons. Took a little bit of a hiatus there. It was not intended to be a hiatus. But my son, or our son, guest today, it's my wife.
Hello.
Chewy is back. Our son decided to take a bit of a regression, if you will. It's a big step back in his sleeping capabilities. And
his hormones were having disagreements.
Yeah, and it was a little brutal, so we didn't quite have the time to do both shows of Behind the Hype and Corona Cartoons. So unfortunately, I went for the OG and stuck with Behind the Hype. So they said take a couple weeks off. And before we get started today, I guess I'll just continue with the announcements of those couple weeks off kind of showed me how much I need some more time off. So Corona Cartoons is going to be taking a little bit more of an infrequent approach to the quarantine times. So I'll return to this show as frequently as I can, and then try to do it every other week. I might miss one here or there. It's the plan. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We will.
So I'm hoping that at some point in July to end of July, I'll be starting the Welcome to You Are Doom podcast. And that one should be a lot of fun. Still trying to figure out who I'm going to have on as a permanent co-host. We have a few. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Very excited for that one. But before we get to all that, we have to do the movie for today. While walking to get coffee last weekend, I want to say, I was talking to her about I was going to do another episode, and she's like, I'm not sure what even thing I would do at this point. I'm like, oh, I know exactly which one to be. I never even thought about it. It's just an instant answer. We'd have to talk about The Secret of NIMH.
Yeah.
And we never even watched a movie together before.
No. I mean, honestly, we should go through all of the movies that have definitely inspired my love of rodents.
I mean, that'd be a fun ride.
Yeah.
Be a lot of Don Bluth.
Don Bluth, yeah. Maybe definitely some Feifel. Specifically, Feifel Goes West.
Yeah, still there.
I love that movie.
A lot of carried over actors there too from this one.
And the movie that you like to make fun of, Sword in the Stone.
I do make fun of that one a lot.
But that movie's great.
It's not bad.
That, as an adult, that squirrel's kind of rapey. But it's adorable.
Old cartoons, man. Leash. Anyhow.
Secret of NIMH.
Older cartoons. We're doing the very controversial, if you will, at least at the time. This was the movie that caused the Disney defectors to happen. So Don Bluth and company wanted to do this movie with Disney, where they had done all of their other movies. If you look at their credentials, like he was the animation director on The Rescuers, he was on Pete's Dragon, he was a character animator on Robin Hood. What else? I'm looking at it right now. Sword in the Stone, Sleeping Beauty. Like, this guy was like entrenched in Disney. And Disney said, nope, this one's too dark. We're not doing this one. And I'm sure there's a lot more to this story, but essentially what happened was he said, I'm out then, and he went and made it somewhere else. And after him and a lot of the people that came with him, 20 more animators left, and they were all the Disney defectors. And that's where Don Bluth went off to do all of his other movies that we all remember from kids as being the very anti-Disney of like, wow, so I guess we can just go to animated films to be horrifically depressed now.
It's about learning. You need to learn that bad emotions are just as important as good emotions because you need to learn how to cope.
Oh, we can learn that in Inside Out.
No, you can't.
They tell you very blatantly. Like, just, like, they write it on the screen. Just in case they didn't get it. So the exact polar fucking opposite of Inside Out would be Don Bluth movies.
Yes.
And his first major one is the one that we're talking about today, which would be Secret of NIMH. If you don't know who Don Bluth is, and you're just like, who is this guy they keep talking about? I know all those Disney ones. These are the other ones that you probably remember him from. I'm going to tell you right now. So after Secret of NIMH, he did An American Tail, the Feifel movie. He did Land Before Time, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Rock-A-Doodle, Thumbelina, Anastasia, and a movie that we did on After the Hype that I'm a huge fan of, Titan AE. He just did a shit ton of movies that were always big and popular, but had the very distinct personality of refusing to talk down to kids while still being very much for kids. And that's kind of where we're going to start today, because I think Secret of NIMH is the perfect place to start for that. If you want to show your kids something totally different, here you go.
I was definitely a Don Bluth child.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I liked The Little Mermaid. I really enjoyed it. I liked Beauty and the Beast. Really enjoyed it. Was I a princess? No. I was never a princess. The closest they got me was Sword of the Stone. Also because I related more to the little boy of not feeling all that great and wanting to, pull something out of a rock and suddenly be amazing. Yeah. I wish I had that experience.
King
it's
Bob!
So easy.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But I remember this movie. I remember Labyrinth. I remember Land Before Time. I remember Fievel. I remember all that. And I remember rewatching those movies. I remember rewatching All Dogs Go to Heaven. That was a Don Bluth, right?
Yep. And
it's just like, those were my jam. Those were the movies I brought to school for show and tell. My teachers used my copy of Fievel Goes West to show to the class.
Fievel Goes West is a solid fucking
movie.
It
is. And everyone made fun of it. It'd be like, it's not as good as the first one. I'm like, it's true, it's not. It is happier than the first one.
They're so different of movies.
Yeah.
I don't really like comparing them.
But Fievel Goes West is just a joy. And it's still got more seriousness in it than a lot of the Disney movies.
And it's, what's his name's final movie? The guy with the voice. Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart's last movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah.
But in this movie, I credit this movie to one of the reasons why I love rats.
Well, it's like we mentioned today when we were just kind of driving around. It's the only movie I can really think of from my childhood that shows rats, by and large, as good characters.
Yeah.
Like, even movies like, say, like Charlotte's Web, like, there's a rat, I forget his name in it, but, like, he's not bad, but he's also not a good guy. He's just kind of, like, he's shifty.
Yeah. And you got the animatronic rats in the 90s Dr. Dolittle.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just, assholes.
Yeah, or even, like, even Ratatouille. That's where I was going to go. Ratatouille, they're still the good guys, but they're still a nuisance, and everybody hates them.
Yeah, they're gluttons.
Exactly. So it's like, even when they're
and they got no taste, except for the one.
Even when they're at their best, they're still kind of vermin.
Yeah.
And in this movie, their main motivation, and then we should do a very quick breakdown, but their main motivation is to get off the farm because it's not right to illegally steal electricity. Like, so polar opposite. Like, they're like, oh no, we're not bad people. We want to earn our way.
Yeah.
It's like, good lord.
They are genetically enhanced.
Yeah. So I want to do a very quick breakdown of the movie so we can kind of continue these conversations of just all over the place.
The movie opens with a wise old rat feeling bad that Jonathan Brisby has died. And so then he's talking about his widow and her turmoils, and we find out her son is sick, so she's trying to figure out how to help her son. And then one of the smarter mice tells her, you can't move your son for a couple weeks so that he can heal.
Oh,
no.
But
moving day's coming because the farmer needs to till his soil.
Why the fuck did you move there in the first place? But I guess we'll just...
Because animals migrate. It's just a thing with the seasons. Don't argue with farm talk.
I'm going to argue with it. It really bothers me. Still fucking move to that field.
So she needs to figure out how to get help. And she gets help from a crow named Jeremy. And then she goes to see...
Does she get help?
He's comedic relief. And so then she gets to see the old owl. And the old owl tells her to go see the rats. And the rats are having some infighting. But they agree to help her. And then one of the evil rats try to use helping her as a means to gain power. Doesn't work out. The good rat wins in the end, helping Miss Brisby. And the big, powerful amulet gets all sparkly because Miss Brisby has a heart filled with courage, and they move her house to the safe spot, and everything's happy in the end.
She goes a little Super Saiyan there for a moment.
She does. That's a really quick, bare bones rendition.
Yeah, but it's not like you missed much. The movie, it doesn't overstay its welcome at all. I think it's 88 minutes.
It's a very good example of creating dire situations in a very small world.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where I really remember the movie as a kid, because when I think back to most of the movies from my childhood, I was more of a song and dance man, if you will. I loved my musicals, but I'd always just mostly would want animated movies, and I wasn't always in the mood for musicals, so this was always my alternative. So I watched all the Don Bluth movies, but I'd probably go Disney, then Don Bluth, Disney, Don Bluth, and then just kind of get back to it. But circling back to when I had to read the book for elementary school, I remember the book feeling less dramatic for some reason. I don't remember.
Never read the book.
I'd have to reread it, but I know when I was a kid, this movie affected the hell out of me. It just was that dark, scary animated movie, but the scary thing that I could handle for some reason. Like, it scared me, but just enough to where I could sit there and still watch it by myself. So when I read the book, I kind of had this whole, like, oh, this doesn't seem like as big of a deal. It doesn't seem like, it just felt smaller to me. Like, it just felt more like, oh, it is just the farmer's yard. So you talk about these, like, effects on this grand scale and there's like such a small world. It was weird having that both point of view of, like, when I watched the movie, everything felt so large and scary and it felt world ending. And then it took the book to kind of ground it. Like, no, it's not. And then now I kind of see what you're talking about. It just took, I had to experience both forms of the medium for that to actually click.
And they show it at the end. Because most of the movie is from their perspective, so everything is tall and massive. And at the very end of the movie, they have an overhead shot of the farm, and you can see the stalled tractor next to the rock, which is really freaking close to the rose bush, and then there's the house.
Yeah.
Like, you'd almost think that it takes place in maybe a 50 square foot area.
Yeah. If that, like, more like the size of our apartment.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but while you're watching the movie, it feels like that's the whole world.
Because, I mean...
To them it is. Yeah.
They're so small. The entirety of Burbank to them.
Almost the entirety of LA. Like, it's just huge to them. Like,
yeah.
But I kind of love that. Like, it makes this movie kind of have these totally two different worlds. Because every now and then it does dip into the farmer's world. Like, when the actual...
They're in the house.
Yeah, in the house, when NIMH, the agency that accidentally made these super rats, is like, hey, do you have our rats? And the farmer's like, I don't fucking know, but I don't want any rats.
But the rats in my rose bush are acting kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's about it. And he knows that they're not falling for any of his traps.
Yeah.
That's about all he knows.
I mean, at this point, he's just like, hey, man, free extermination.
Yeah. And someone keeps drugging my cat. I don't know who.
Then my cat's just a fucking asshole. But it's kind of interesting, like, when you do kind of take that 1 foot off the gas, it really does kind of like, oh, look at how small this is.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a minor thing.
And the farmers aren't villains at all.
No.
Yeah, because, I mean, even the kid doesn't want to kill Miss Brisby when he captures her. He wants to keep her as a pet.
Yeah.
And the mom doesn't say, why don't you kill the mouse? She says, why don't you let it outside?
Yeah.
Like, the farmers seem really nice.
Yeah, they seem like pretty normal farmers. Yeah, we have a farm. There's going to be mice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, don't kill it. Just get it out of the house. Like, the villain in the movie is really the entity of NIMH, even though we don't really ever see them. And then I guess, what's his name? Jeremy? Jenner?
Jenner, even so...
And even Jenner's not necessarily a bad guy.
Jenner...
I mean, he does bad things, but...
He's the conservative. That's what I was saying.
Sure, yeah.
He's no, this is what I know. This is where I want to stay. Let's stay in the rose bush because we know life is good here. He doesn't want to leave because he's afraid of, essentially, in my mind, he's afraid of what it would be like in the new
he fears change.
Valley of Thorns or whatnot.
Yeah.
The real villain is just circumstance, honestly. Because normally moving day wouldn't be an issue. Normally they just... go to their other house, probably. It's like a summer house versus winter house.
And like
when it was, because it's the spring. It's not. There's a chill in the air, but the ground is now warm enough to till. So he needs to till the ground in order to plant his seeds. That's the situation.
But the reason it's more dramatic this time is because it happened early.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, fuck, he's early. We need to move today.
Yeah.
Like, that was the only major drama. Otherwise, this was planned.
So it's seasonal.
Yeah.
The season is the greatest villain.
Yeah.
And then you have the NIMH coming to harvest their rats or whatnot.
I'm
out
sure
of the
just
rose bush.
snuff out the rats.
Yeah.
I'm sure just like, well, we made super rats that are the same intelligence of humans. Let's kill them before they take over the planet.
Because they breed fast. It does seem like they didn't inject any female rats with any super serum, so that's a little...
But their intelligence spreads because they taught the mice, and the mice are able to teach the other mice.
Well, they taught Miss Brisby.
She never had anything to do with them.
No, it's true.
So they gave them the power to teach.
Yeah.
So let's kill the fuck out of them, because...
Yeah. Mice that can read are dangerous mice.
Yeah. I mean, rats are bad too. The fact that any animal can teach another animal to read in this universe is like, yeah, I can see why the scientists are a little concerned.
Yeah, because animal uprising has been a legitimate fear of humanity.
Which oddly brings me to another point that you brought up while we were rewatching it. Holy shit, is this a lot like the new Planet of the Apes trilogy?
Oh yeah, I would say that the guy who wrote the screenplay for the new Planet Apes movies likes Secret of NIMH.
Yeah, and if not, then he is subconsciously like the same dude. But
it is all about like, and then they put these injections into us, and suddenly I could understand things, and da da da.
But even down to the end of the movie with Jenner and the good one,
Jeremy or Justin.
Justin and
Jeremy. It's a lot of J names.
Yeah, Jenner and Justin.
Jonathan was the dead husband.
Jonathan died.
Yes. Jeremy's the crow.
Jeremy the crow.
Justin is the good rat.
Holy fuck.
And Jenner is the bad rat.
Okay, so Justin v. Jenner is what I'm talking about here. But even their argument, it's not like they're arguing over, I want to keep the rats here because it's my kingdom here, and I want to move them over here because of this. They're both trying to do the best for the community of rats.
You think? I mean, they do say that Jenner's getting power lusty,
but it still doesn't like those. This is very much a good versus evil. Like they don't really make it to like explanatory of why he's evil. No, looking at it just from the evidence that we have, the thing that he did that was bad and evil was kill their leader. But he did that because his leader Nostradamus.
It's not Nostradamus.
But he killed their leader. But he did that because he thought their leader was going to get them killed by moving them to the new field. So, like, they're both trying to do what's best for their community. I know they keep saying Jenner evil, blah, blah, blah. But based on what his motivations are, or at least what we're given as the audience, it's not really there. Does that make sense?
Nicodemus,
that's
Sorry.
right.
Yeah, I was trying to find that.
Yeah, Jenner killed Nicodemus. Yeah. That was the worst thing that he did. And it's very bad, don't get me wrong. But they're both trying to help.
Yes. Which is generally how it usually is. I mean, the bad guy doesn't view himself as a bad guy.
No, but that's what I'm saying about with the Planet of the Apes connection. It's the same thing with Caesar and Rocket by the end of Dawn. Like, at the end of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, it's those two fighting, and it's because Rocket's saying, well, you're siding with the humans instead of us. We need to take care of ourselves. And Caesar's saying, we all need the planet to live on.
Yeah.
They're very similar movies.
And they're not necessarily wrong.
No, it's just, it sucks that they're here where they have to fight.
Yeah.
Which they wouldn't have to fight in fucking NIMH if Jenner hadn't just gone and killed Nicodemus.
Yeah. Just be cool with leaving, bro.
Yeah, man. Just fucking chill out.
Because honestly, if you just left for a little while, the farmer probably would have forgot about stuff. And if you went back to the bush every now and then, you wouldn't notice.
Every now and then, like, fuck, those rats are back.
Yeah.
And then now you just have your own moving day.
Yeah. Basically. You have your summer and your winter house.
Yeah. You're going to be fine. Chill out, Jenner. The only other thing that I really want to talk about this movie before we start to wrap things up is if you're more like me when you're a kid and you're sticking more to the Disney stuff, you watched more Disney than other, There was something that was very refreshing of leaving a, what do they call it in the Disney? It's like stretch and squish or something like that. Anybody who's in animation knows what I'm talking about. It's the whole Disney look where when they walk, they kind of squish and stretch.
They do?
Yeah. But there's a very Disney look that all Disney animated films have to an extent. That when you flipped and you came over to the Don Bluth stuff, specifically this movie from what I remember, it was almost like a breath of fresh air of just seeing something totally different, but in this case, very dark while being very beautiful. It wasn't a color palette or a style that was really shown to kids much at all, except for some Jim Henson stuff.
No.
That was also coming out around the same time.
It was very organic. It wasn't polished. Like, you could see the brush strokes, you could feel it, and it was gritty, and to me it was just real, and it made it feel more genuinely magical.
Yeah.
Because especially as a kid, I mean, you're initially told that magical stuff's evil, so...
Fucking Harry Potter.
Even Harry Potter's got more of a glimmer to it than Don Bluth stuff. So it felt scandalous a little bit at the same time, I suppose.
Sure.
Maybe scandalous is not right. Adventurous. There's more of a sense of adventure in watching Bluth movies. Like the characters would actually get hurt.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at. So, like, adventurous, and the two things that I took away, one as a kid and one as an adult, but as a kid, it's that it felt dangerous. Like, legitimately
That's what I mean.
dangerous.
The characters would actually get hurt.
But as an adult, I can change it. Well, not just that the characters would get hurt. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the world itself looked dangerous. Like, why would she go to the owl? Everything at the owl's place, including the owl himself, looks ferociously dangerous.
Yeah.
And as an adult, I can take that now and think about it as like, yeah, sure, the world looks scary because that's the way of the kid. But we're also kind of seeing this movie through the eyes of our narrator, which is an itty-bitty little mouse that fucking anything can kill. So yeah, that's what the world looks like. There's death at every corner. Mice are very skittish creatures. The world can be very scary for them. And the world that we see through our character's POV is horrifying.
Yeah.
Everywhere she goes is horrifying, unless she's at home with her family.
Yeah.
Which makes sense through the eyes of a mouse. The more I thought about that, the more I'm like, holy fuck, I love this movie.
It's great.
Yeah, it's just... And it's just that look and the feel, and it's just like tactile and frighteningly real, while being very just 2D animated.
Yeah. And it's also different in the way that it's the perspective of the parent, which you don't get from Disney movies. You always get the perspective of the kid in Disney movies. It's the kid that goes off on the adventure.
Well, the exception of the rescuers, yes.
The rescuers isn't even...
Not parents necessarily,
That's
but they're
totally
older.
different.
Yeah.
So, like with the rescuers and this movie, it's the perspective of the parental figure.
Yeah.
Saving the child. Which can be very comforting to some children to actually see that. I mean, you're always told your parents are going to move the world for you, but most of the time, you don't see it. Yeah. Especially in American life, I mean...
Well, I mean... Not to be cold, but Disney's bread and butter
is dead parents.
Dead
parents or buffoonish parents or whatever.
Yeah.
They're very much, the children shall rise. The children are special.
Yeah. Won't somebody think of the children woman? She's very pro-Disney.
Yeah. And yeah, this movie's, I mean, it can be comforting to see a mother figure
who will do
anything to save her family.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's a solid movie, and especially at this time, it was a very welcome change of pace. At this time for me, the movie came out before I was born, but like at this time in my childhood, when I came upon it at that local video store site, what up? To anyone else who remembers that place, it was just always great, and I rented it pretty often, and I always enjoy going back to it, even though the whole time I'm sitting on the couch, I was just mortified.
I think I was more frightened by Land Before Time, but I also might have seen that before I saw this movie. This was released in 1982, so it was released before both of us were born.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. I mean, I have a terrible recollection. recollection
There we are.
of my childhood. You're much better about it than I am.
I know Land Before Time I was more okay with. There's a couple sharp tooth scenes, like the one where they think he's dead. That one always got me.
I remember hiding under my jacket with sharp
tooth.
Sharp tooth.
Yeah.
I can't talk.
That was
which
me.
is great.
Yeah, that's great for a podcast. I think that means we're out of gas.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't really have an end of the episode thing for this show, so let's say what our favorite parts were. Just because that's what I do on Behind the Hype, but it feels good here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite part of Secret of NIMH?
I mean, I really love the owl. Was that yours?
That was gonna be bad.
Oh. Well, the owl is just a perfect example of like her level of courage, because she knows owls eat mice. Mm-hmm. This could be my end, but what other option do I have? I mean, if I die or my children die. So she goes and she requests an audience. She gets it, and the owl is actually quite chill.
Well, she name drops.
She does name drop. Apparently everyone knows her husband.
Yeah.
Which would, honestly, in my eyes, get quite irritating. Like, oh, so my husband had this whole secret life he decided not to tell me about. And he has all these all-knowing, powerful friends.
Sounds like your husband's a dick.
And I didn't really get the whole, well, he didn't tell you because he aged different than you. That was the explanation you receive. And I'm like, no, that would be an important thing to know.
Yeah, that didn't help anything.
Yeah.
So my favorite part, if it's not the scene with the owl, because that is just an amazing scene, would probably be, it's got to be the end then. When she finally gets the power of her amulet to unlock, and she just goes ape shit on people, and more so on just moving her house.
Yeah, she doesn't really go ape shit.
But she just goes nuts, and it's just so like beautifully drawn and so starkly different to everything else in the movie that it just kind of shocks your system, and then the movie just sort of ends, and then it's bright and sunny for the only point in the entire movie. It's like, hey, look at how nice it is out.
It is, because hope has been restored. Everything is as it should be.
But I just love the way that it's all just kind of symbolized with the whole red and just the explosion. It's just so awesome.
They never explain where the amulet came from or where it has power, but it's a kid's movie, so you don't need an explanation.
Meh. Speed Force.
It's just the power of a mother's love.
Pretty much. Okay, well, I think we've pretty much covered as much as we're going to for the Secrets of NIMH. I think we're gonna leave the sequel out of it. I don't need.
I never bothered to see the sequel. The moment I found out the sequel was a musical, I'm like, that ain't the same movie. It's like when you read the description of Neverending Story 3, you're like, I don't need to watch that.
No, we all know 2's the best one.
Yeah.
What? Do you disagree with me on that?
Well, not really. But it's better than 3. I never bothered to see 3 either.
I never saw 3 either.
The only curiosity I have 3 is Jack Black's in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what movie I want to rewatch? Oh my god, I think I just figured out what next episode will be. I have to find somebody to watch this movie with me. I want to rewatch The Pagemaster.
I've never seen it.
I'm going to find someone to watch Pagemaster with, and sometime in the future, maybe next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, who knows, that will be the next episode of Corona Cartoons. Holy shit, that excites me. I haven't thought of that movie in a long time. I don't know why thinking of Neverending Story 3 brought me to Pagemaster, but
I don't know.
But it did.
Books?
Sure. Oh my god. If Corona ever ends, I still want to do my performance art of just reliving the Neverending Story, but just Sebastian's part of it. Just out in public somewhere. Just the most active reader. Just every now and then just screaming out Sebastian's lines. No, Atreyu, run! And then just go back to read my book. Like 20 minutes later, throw my book across a field. No! It's too real now! I'm telling you this.
But don't forget to eat your sandwich.
You gotta eat your sandwich. Great. Totally not joking. I really want to do this at some point. I was gonna do plugs, but I'm just gonna end on that little story. That's it.
All right.
You heard it. Bye.
Bye.